you all are doing well at home and spending your time doing lot of studies and other constructive work. Before beginning with the class, let's take a note of the thought for the day, and the thought for the day is a little progress each day adds up to big results. Now what does this thought mean? Many times you might have experienced that you go on compiling your work. For example, you can think only about your studies. What do? We learn in the school, we come back, we only finish with our homework. Some even don't do that. They also keep on piling their homework. And then later what do we think? We think that during the exam time, I'll study everything. Right? So you keep on stacking everything for the last moment. And when it is last moment when it comes, you are confused. Or you see that you have a lot of things to do. So what does our thought today tell us? Our thought today tells us that we should keep doing things every day. Right? If every day you come back from school and learn your lessons that was taught on that particular day, I'm very sure at the time of your exam, you will not be overburdened with the things to study, to learn. So that's what it is, that a little progress each day adds up to big result. So you keep on progressing with your syllabus, moving ahead with your syllabus. And that's how after the exams you see that you have passed the exam with flying colors. So that is a big success for you. So now with this note, let us also progress towards the end of our chapter. So as we have seen that the writer, she moves away from that lady's house. She is passing over the street, but she doesn't like to look here and there. She doesn't want to remember anything. Finally, she is in the train. And again, she goes into flashback. Right? And what she says, in the train back, I saw Mrs. Darling in front of me again, as I had the first time I met. So she says now, in the train when she is sitting, she says, I saw her second time. And when was it? It was the morning after the day my mother had told me about. So the mother had told her everything about the lady, about her address, and how and why she is taking away the things with her. And immediately on the next day, the lady again comes to their place. I had got a plate and coming downstairs, I saw my mother about to see someone out, a woman with a broad back. So at that time what she could see, she could only see the back side of her body. And she had a broad back, she says. There is my daughter, said my mother. She beckoned to me. The woman nodded and picked up the suitcase under the coat rack. She wore a brown coat and a shapeless hat. So when this girl, the writer, came down, the mother beckoned towards, beckoned means pointed towards her, telling the lady that she is my daughter. And the lady takes note of it and she just nods her head, and then she is busy pulling the bag with her. Does she live far away? I asked, seeing the difficulty she had going out of the house with the heavy case. In Marconi Street, said my mother, number 46, remember that. So now this is what she asked. Is the lady staying far away from this place? And then the mother tells her the address. And she says, remember this address. I had remembered it, but I had waited a long time to go there. Initially, after the liberation, I was absolutely not interested in all that stored stuff, and naturally, I was also rather afraid of it. So now she says that I had remembered the address. Right? And I wanted to go, but I did not go. Right? I just avoided going there because I was scared of seeing all those things back. Maybe the reason behind is that because the mother is there, so she may miss her mother, she may get reminded of her, and she would be pained. She would be upset, she would be sorrowful. So, afraid of being confronted with things that had belonged to a connection that no longer existed, which were hidden away in cupboards and boxes and waiting in vain until they were put back in their place again, which had endured all those years because they were things. So, she says that she was avoiding just because the mother was not alive and she didn't wanted to confront, she didn't wanted to come face to face with those things. And what did she feel? She felt that the lady might have kept them in the cupboard. They might be kept packed, cupboard. So when she would see them, those things may want that they were put back into their places where they used to be. But gradually, everything became more normal again. Bread was getting to be a lighter color. There was a bed you could sleep in unthreatened, a room with a view or you were more used to glancing at each day. And one day I noticed I was curious about all those possessions that must still be at that address. I wanted to see them, touch them, remember them. So now after the war, she says that things slowly, gradually started to settle. Everything was coming at its normal phase. And then she says, one day, I don't know how, but all of a sudden, I started missing all those things. I wanted to have a look at all those things. I wanted to feel them. I wanted to touch them and remember them. After my first visit in vain to Mrs. Darling's house, I decided to try a second time. Now, a girl of about 15 opened the door to me. I asked her if her mother was at home. So now, as she says that first time when I went, it was of no use. Right? It was all in vain. So she decided that she must be taking a second try and she will be visiting the place again. So this time when she visits, what? She sees a young girl who opens the door. I asked if her mother was at home. No, she said. My mother is doing an errand. No matter, I said, I'll wait for her. So she asked, is your mother at home? And then the girl replies, no, she's gone for a job. Now what is an errand? Errand is a job wherein you move from one place to the other, maybe carrying messages of the people. So that is what is an errand. If you remember this word, you have read this word in your class 10th lesson also. Right? The story of Nicola, the two boys. In that, the boys used to run errands. It was the line over there. So that is the same thing. They would carry messages from here and to their other place. No matter, I said. I will wait for her. So she says, okay, fine. She'll come back. I'll wait for her till that time. I followed the girl along the passage. An old-fashioned iron hookah, along the passage. An old-fashioned iron Hanukkah candle holder hung next to the mirror. So now she is going with the girl is going ahead and she is following her, and while she is following her in the passage, she comes across the things, many things, and one out of them is Hanukkah. Now what is a Hanukkah? Hanukkah is the Feast of Lights, a Hebrew festival that is celebrated in December. And then there is a candle holder which is just set up near the mirror. We never used it because it was much more cumbersome than a single candlestick. So she says that we never used this. This means this Hanukkah also belongs to her mother. And she is remembering that we never used this. Why? Because it was very cumbersome. Cumbersome, that is, it was very big. It was difficult to handle. Carry on from one place to another. So they never used it. Won't you sit down? Asked the girl. She held open the door of the living room and I went inside past her. So opening the door towards the living room, the girl gave her away and she says, I went past her, I just passed her and went inside the room. I stopped horrified. Now, as soon as she entered into the room, she was horrified. She was shocked. I was in a room I knew and did not know. So, she was in a place which she did not know, but she was amongst the things which she had known. That's the reason why she says, I was in a room I knew, which I did not know. I found myself in the midst of the things I did want to see again, but which oppressed me in a strange atmosphere. So she says, I was in the middle of those things for which I had come all the way here. I wanted to see all these things, and that's the reason why I had come to this lady's place. Right? But now she says, these all things are not giving me any pleasure. They're not making me happy. Or because of the tasteless way everything was arranged, because of the ugly furniture or the muggy smell that hung there. So maybe because she was seeing all these things in a stranger place, in a new place, or maybe because the way the things were arranged was not good. Right? And since these people, they kept their house closed all the time, so maybe the room was not fresh, it was smelling. So she says maybe all these things led to lose of my interest in all those things. I don't know, but I scarcely dared to look around me. The girl moved a chair. I sat down and stared at the woolen tablecloth. I rubbed it. My finger grew warm from rubbing. I followed the lines of the pattern. Somewhere on the edge there should be a burn mark, and that had never been repaired. So now she is sitting on a chair, and then she sees that the table is there, and on that table there is a tablecloth which she is familiar with. So she just tries to touch it and move her finger along with it. And she knows that when she will reach to a certain point, there the tablecloth was burnt and that was not repaired. So she may find it that place. And that would be a confirmation that this was the same tablecloth that she was thinking about. I will be back soon, said the girl. I have already made tea for her. Will you have a cup? So now the girl starts with her conversation. And she says, Mother will come back soon, and it is time for her to return. What I was doing, I was preparing a tea. Would you like to have a cup of tea? Thank you. So she says, yes. I looked up. The girl put cups ready on the table. She had a broad back, just like her mother. So now she is looking around her. And she sees the girl from behind, and she says, she is just like her mother with a broad back. She poured tea from a white pot. All it had was a gold border on the lid. I remember. She opened the box and took some spoons out. So see, whatever things had once belonged to the writer, to the author, she is now seeing it all here, and they are all used. What she was thinking, that they must be lying inside the cupboard, they must be covered, and they might be waiting for her to come and use it. But here she finds it all totally opposite things. Whatever things were there, these people were using it, and she saw even the teapot which she was using to take tea out from also belonged to her. That's a nice box. I heard my own voice. It was a strange voice, as though each sound was different in this book. So now that box from where the girl takes out the spoons, that box also belongs to the right. And she is trying to praise the box. That's a nice box, she says. And then she feels that she is only able to hear her own voice. Because maybe back at her home, she might have many times talked about this box, about the beauty, and praised the box. Oh, you know about them. She had turned round and brought me my tea. She laughed. My mother says it is auntie. We've got lots more. She pointed round the room. See for yourself. And then she says, when the writer says about the box, then the girl says, oh, you know, this is an antique piece. And my mother says that we have lot of antique things here, and then she just waves her hand in order to say, as if she wants to say to the writer that just help yourself and have a look around the house, in the room. And you'll see that we have lot of antique things. What are antiques? They are old valuable things. I had no need to follow her hand. I knew things she meant. I just looked at the still life over the tea table. As a child, I had always fancied the apple on the pewter plate. So she says, I had no interest in looking around because all these things I had been looking right from my childhood. And she remembers one of her childhood incident, that how much she longed. She was attracted, she was fascinated to have an apple on the pewter plate. What is a pewter? It is the mixture, it is a metal which is made out of mixture of tin and lead. We use it for everything, she said. Once we even ate off the plates hanging there on the wall. So, the wall hangings in the shape of plates. So, she says we are using everything, all these antique things we are using. And you know what we did once? We had our supper or lunch, means we ate our food in on those wall hangings also. But I tell you, it was only that we wanted to eat in that, but the food did not taste anything separate, anything different. It was as usual as it tasted in the normal plate. On the wall, I wanted to so much, but it wasn't anything special. I had found the burn mark on the tablecloth. The girl looked questioningly at me. Yes, I said. You get so used to touching all these lovely things in the house. You hardly look at them anymore. So now as she is running her hand over the table cover, she finds that burnt patch. And then the girl is looking at her. Maybe she wants to question, how did you know that there is a burnt patch over here? And then she is just trying to change the topic, and she says, yes, sometimes we become so used to the things that we fail to take notice of the things anymore. You only notice when something is missing because it has to be repaired or because you have lent it, for example. So she says that you only miss the things when they are to be sent for repairing, means they are damaged, or you have given it to somebody. So that's a hint which she is trying to give to the girl. Again I heard the unnatural sound of my voice and I went on. I remember my mother once asked me if I could help her polish the silver, and it was a very long time ago and I was probably bored that day, or perhaps I had to stay at home because I was ill. So now she is again going into flashback and she remembers about those silver spoons and forks and cutleries, and she says that I remember once maybe when I was at home because I was not well. So that day what did my mother ask? My mother asked that if I could clean those spoons and cutleries, right? So I asked her which silver she meant, and she replied, surprised, that it was the spoons, forks and knives, of course. And that was the strange thing. I didn't know the cutlery we ate of every day was silver. And she says, I never knew. This girl knows so many things. Whatever is there in her place, she knows what is silver, what is antique and what is what. But when I had all these things at my place, I didn't know about it. It was only when my mother told me I came to know that the spoons and forks and cutlery that we are using, it is made out of silver. The girl laughed again. I bet you don't know it is either. I looked intently at her. What we eat with? She asked. Well, do you know? She hesitated. She walked to the sideboard and wanted to open a drawer. I'll look. It's in here. So now the girl says, the writer thinks that even the girl doesn't know about it. And then she's asking, do you know? And then she says, what I should know? And then again they have a conversation and she goes to the drawer to find out what the writer wants to ask or what is she talking about. I jumped up. I was forgetting the time. I must catch my train. So now the writer, all of a sudden she gets up from her place and she says, I forgot that it's time for my train and I must move now because I have to catch my train. She had her hand on the drawer. Don't you want to wait for my mother? No, I must go. I walked to the door. The girl pulled the drawer open. I can find my own way. So now the girl is asking, don't you want to wait for mother? You said you want to meet my mother, so just wait, she'll be coming. And then she says, no, I don't want to wait. I'll just leave. It's time for me to go. And then she is like, she closes the drawer and she wants to come and help. So she says, no, I'll find my way myself. As I walked down the passage, I heard the jingling of the spoons and forks. So as she is coming out from the house, she can hear maybe the girl is making sound with those silvers, with the spoons and forks. At the corner of the road, I looked up at the nameplate. Marconi Street, it said. It had been at number 46. I had been at number 46. The address was correct. But now I didn't want to remember it anymore. I wouldn't go back there because the objects that are linked in your memory with the familiar life of former times instantly lose their values when severed from them. You see them again in a strange surrounding. So now as she is moving out of the house, she sees the address once again. And then she says, now I want to forget this address totally. I don't want to remember this address. Why? Because she says now once when the things were yours, you had so much of connection with that thing, with your life when it was in your life. But now when you see that same thing in some other place, in some other atmosphere, other conditions, situations, in a strange place, you really have no liking towards those things. Right? You lose your connection with those things. And what should I have done with them in a small rented room where the shreds of black out paper still hung along the windows and no more than a handful of cutlery fitted in the narrow table drawer. And then she says, moreover, what will I do with so many things if I bring them? Where am I going to keep it? I am living in a very small rented room, in a very small house, where there is no place for all these things to be kept. Right? The black cloth that is coming out from the wall, that is all lying here, flying. And the drawer which I have, that is so small that very little cutleries can accommodate in that. Where am I going to place so many things if I get it from that place? I resolved to forget the address. Of all the things I had to forget, that would be the easiest. So now she says, while I was returning back from that place, I had resolved, I had made a firm determination that now I will not remember this address. I had taken a resolution that I will forget the address. I'll never come back to this place. And by doing so, she says, of all the things I had forgot, that would be the easiest. I should not only forget the address, I should forget everything about the things also. Right? I should not remember anything. And that would be the best thing. So this is the story wherein the writer is trying to highlight the different behavioral aspects of people. Right? How somebody is trusting and handing over the things to that person, how that person becomes so ungrateful and forgetful that he has to return those things, but rather starts using those things like his or her own. And then when the owner wants it back, the person is not ready to return it. So this is all what? It's a human tendency. We come across such things many times in our society. Right? So on this note, we will complete this chapter and we finish this chapter. In the next video, we will meet with some other things. So until then, keep learning, keep experiencing and keep thinking big. Thank you.